could when I was small, and it's so picturesque, looking through the crystal.
Ciao, and welcome to Gio's Paintbrush, where 5 minutes is all it takes to be blown away by one of the world's greatest artists. You know, when you hear 10 seconds of a Tom Petty song, or catch just a glimpse of a Charlie Chaplin short, or encounter a picture of a structure designed or even inspired by Antoni Gaudí, there's a distinctiveness, a singularity that is unmistakable. One recognizes instantly the unique imprint of the artist, his one-of-a-kind contribution to his craft. For Petty, it's that distinctive North Central Florida tone to his voice, combined with interesting everyman lyrics and emotional authenticity, and playful harmonies throughout, all driven by a high-energy rhythm guitar. These elements make his music so easy to recognize upon hearing just the first few bars. Same is true of Chaplin's films featuring the Tramp, whose inspiring efforts to survive a harsh, thoroughly modern world with his dignity and personal ethics intact, even when dazed by a blow to the head with a brick, covered in mud, and in the process of being handcuffed by an angry policeman, all in front of the girl he's trying so desperately to impress. These create an unmistakable image in mind's eyes across the world. And finally, this is also true of Catalan architect Antoni Gaudí, who sought to create dwellings and places of worship based on forms found in nature, like caves and oceans and trees, resulting in truly exceptional structures like Casa Mila or Sagrada Familia that just scream Gaudí. When it comes to painting, there are a handful of artists who have not only achieved technical greatness and a measure of originality, but who have also developed such a distinctive identity, a signature to their work, that like Petty or Chaplin or Gaudí, they produce a clearly identifiable style that others emulate, incorporate, or respond to in their work. One such artist was the Greek-born Spanish painter, Dominikos Theotokopoulos, commonly known as El Greco, or the Greek for the Spaniards, for whom the name Theotokopoulos was just a bit much to stomach. In today's show, we'll examine an El Greco masterpiece, The Assumption of the Virgin, oil on canvas, 1577-79, part of the permanent collection of the Art Institute of Chicago. In El Greco's Assumption, we'll see this painter's singularity in all its glory, and learn just how the Spanish master of Greek descent inspired everyone, from the faithful peasantry of 16th century Catholic Spain to Pablo Picasso more than 300 years later, in my opinion, the greatest artist of the 20th century. Thanks for joining us. What makes El Greco's Assumption a masterpiece? Surely the Italians, leaders in the cult of the Virgin, addressed the biblical subject of Mary's ascension into heaven in full technicolor glory. In fact, El Greco apparently modeled this painting after one by the Venetian master Titian. But what makes El Greco's work, painted for the convent of Santo Domingo el Antiguo in Toledo, so utterly original is the artist's complete mastery of the central Renaissance elements, combined with his own distinctive, flickering candlelight colors and elongated, almost otherworldly human figures, El Greco's signatures that foreshadow modernism centuries later and bring a one-of-a-kind quality to his paintings. To paraphrase the modern American poet Ezra Pound, El Greco made it new. The Assumption was El Greco's first commission in Spain, and in terms of the Renaissance techniques he employed, notice the classic pyramid composition, with the Virgin's head as the point of the pyramid, and the feet of the apostles and the legs of the sarcophagus as the base. In addition, the piece offers perfect balance, absolutely Palladian symmetry, with 6 apostles on each side of the Virgin on the ground, and 5 angels flanking Mary on both sides as she ascends into heaven, herself perfectly centered, the focal point technically and spiritually. Also, do you see how Mary seems to leap forward off the canvas into the viewer's space? This type of three-dimensional perspective was another key feature of Renaissance painting, bringing the subject or subjects of a work into a realistic, believable space, often the viewer's space, as in Da Vinci's The Last Supper and El Greco's Mary here. Had El Greco stopped there, he would be viewed as a highly competent painter in the Renaissance style. But, as the saying goes, El Greco gets jiggy with it. Look at the colors of the robes and the textures El Greco creates. And notice, lower right, the shape and length of the naked leg, which, like everything in this painting, seems to stretch upward, drawing the viewer's gaze to Mary as she begins her journey from earth. El Greco also elongates the fingers on the apostle in green, center right, again emphasizing not a realistic portrayal of the ideal or classical human hand, but stretching upward. Every detail, from the lid of the sarcophagus, resting center right, pointing like an arrow skyward to the horizontal division of the piece, with an earthly world and a heavenly world, communicates the painting's central religious message. And so El Greco's human forms possess elongated bodies, faces that stretch vertically toward the heavens, and clothing that is colored so as to flicker, turning flesh and blood into living, breathing candles, representing light, knowledge, and the Holy Spirit at work in the world. He purposefully alters recognizable, naturalistic human forms to make a spiritual point, in a small but important way, anticipating modern art, where realism gives way for the expression of a larger, non-physical truth. What's the point being made here for El Greco's time and place, a convent in 16th century Spain, ground zero for the Catholic Counter-Reformation? That faith and devotion can transform one's material, non-lasting body, and by extension the world, into an eternal flame. Finally, El Greco masterfully captures a stunning moment for the apostles, with highly detailed, communicative facial expressions that reveal shock, awe, peace, fear, and humility, among other feelings, bearing witness to a supernatural event like the Ascension of the Virgin. But in the end, it's El Greco's signature style, possessing what has been called a powerful mystical quality that has endured for centuries. Just take a look at Picasso's The Old Guitarist, and you'll see clearly what Dominikos Theotokopoulos meant to him. Thanks for joining us.
I can picture it like I could when I was small, and it's so picturesque, looking through the crystal ball.